governments in Latin America, and then they turn around and partner with China.
Yeah, we've been seeing that this has been going on, and we've been very concerned about it. And it's something that I think we're going to have a trip down to Miami and go to Southern Command to give us a briefing on actually what are the activities of the Chinese Communist Party down in China. We know that they coerce, they corrupt public officials down in Latin America. We're very concerned about their activities around the Panama Canal, and what China's trying to do is basically isolate Taiwan as more and more countries refuse to recognize Taiwan, and then it leads credibility to their claim that Taiwan is simply part of China.
Why is the Biden administration allowing this to happen? I think back to the Cold War. We wouldn't even let the Russians, we were worried about the Russians being involved with Cuba, with that communist government. But now we have, it feels like it's a contagion of our greatest enemy, China, having this kind of influence over people in our backyard in the Western Hemisphere and taking over so many of those resources.
Like I said, the Chinese Communist Party, what they do is they coerce and then eventually corrupt public officials to change policy.
Right.
And so, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
It sounds kind of familiar to me.
Yeah, it sure does.
And so why? Because look, I've said all along, for a long time, I've said the only way a lot of these policies of the Biden administration make any sense whatsoever is that somehow somebody may be compromised here. And I hate to say that about a sitting president of the United States, but you know what? There sure is a lot of smoke around the Biden family, their finances, and where that came from. And as a former firefighter, I can tell you that where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's the most revolutionary thing you can do these days is just tell the truth, which you just did.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways to counter this, Congressman, is to increase and make it easier for American companies to invest in Latin America, so then they don't have to turn to the Chinese. I know people in this space who have told me that they don't want their country to partner with China or their company to partner with China, but we're not making it easy for our companies to do it. They kind of do it not only because they want to be with China, but sometimes they feel like they're the only partner they have.
Yeah, well, what's perverse about it is that apparently we treat our friends like our enemies,
That's right.
and we treat our enemies like our friends.
That's right.
And what the China Select Committee, what we're looking at, and I know there's some bills that have been proposed, is to start to onshore our supply chain or nearshore our supply chain. What does that mean? Those companies that are now working in China, if we can't bring them back to the United States, hey, let's bring them back to our hemisphere. Let's improve the working conditions and the quality of life of our neighbors to our south, and then we can then secure our supply chain while helping our own hemisphere. We have been way too negligent with our hemisphere. We have, ignored South America and Central America. The Chinese have not. They made tremendous gains down there, and before you know it, we're going to find ourselves surrounded by countries that are friendly to the Communist Chinese Party, and we're going to be here by ourselves. Ourselves in Canada are going to be the only ones left. We need to take steps right now to reverse that trend.
Yeah, well, the communists in our country are running the foreign policy with Latin America, and that might be why this is happening. Carlos Gimenez